Hey, welcome to the very first Table Talk podcast. I'm your host, Philip, and I'm the pastor at Kalamazoo Community Church, one of the pastors at Kalamazoo Community Church. And this is a podcast that we're going to start doing. This is just an introductory, okay? But this is a podcast that we're going to start doing to help fulfill our church's mission to know Jesus and make him known. We know that the digital space is so important to engage in. So if you're part of our church family, you're probably watching this, or you might send it to a friend and they might watch this. But these are going to be short podcasts where you can come and we'll just learn together. We'll talk about things together. For me, as I continue to grow as a Christian, I realize that my spiritual growth, number one, is up to me. Jesus left our spiritual growth up to us. But I noticed too that a lot of my time, and you're probably like this as well, especially if you're watching this, you're in a digital space right now. A lot of our time is spent in digital spaces. And we feel like we need to be a part of that digital space as a church, but also just as Christians. I don't know about you, but the digital space isn't always helpful. Do you agree? I think we would all agree on that. Much of the info out there just isn't helpful. It's sometimes divisive, sometimes polarizing. This is the biggest reason that I stay out of all the noise in my own social media and my own spaces. I don't repost things that are political. I just don't get into that because as a pastor, I feel like there's just so many more things. Not even because I'm a pastor, if I'm being honest with you. It's just because I'm a Christian. I feel like there's so many more things that I should be passionate about. And I can choose to be passionate about all these things, but if I'm being honest, the only thing I really need to be passionate about, especially in a digital space where I'm sharing with other people, is Jesus, and that's it. So that's the biggest reason why I'm doing this podcast. I mean, if I'm going to be, if the digital space is inevitable, and today it pretty much is, then I want the digital space to work for me, not the other way around. I don't want to work to the digital space. I don't want my social medias to be something that is a crux for me. I want to use it to grow, and you can use it to grow. And I think these things are some of the ways that we can do that. So what I wanted to do is create a space where this could happen. This is why this podcast is now going to be live. And often you'll hear me say something. If you're part of our church family here, you'll hear me say something on a Sunday, and sometimes you'll email me, you'll message me on Facebook, but it's just, kind of want to continue the conversation, and met several of you for coffees, which is always really fun, or lunches. I had you over to the house, but sometimes we just want to dig into the conversation more, and there's sometimes when I'm sitting with you, people from our church, friends, our small group that Sarah and I have together, I'm sitting with you, and I just think, like, as the conversations are so rich, I'm like, wouldn't it be cool if we just invited a bunch more people into this? Wouldn't that be cool if we had a bunch more people that could be a part of this conversation? There's some things that are said, especially in our small group. I was like, I wish I could share this with other people. So this idea has been ruminating in my mind now for the last year or so. And we started doing a small group leader podcast where we're going to start doing that later next month in September. And I thought, why not just go a little bigger than that? I'll do the small group podcast, but why not share more in depth about just what's going on at church, what's going on in culture, and talk about it. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll have just me, and then other times I'll bring in like a co-host. We have a couple other pastors on staff and friends, and I'll bring them in and we'll have fun conversations. So tune in, okay? We'll put some time into this and we'll have some good discussions. So we've already discussed and established that this digital space takes up a whole lot of time. It does. And we've also established that we want that space to work for us rather than us work for it. So this is the place we're going to make that happen. But for me, I felt this tension when I think of how churches function lately, especially online. My wife is so good at sending me several of these influencers that are part of churches that are doing really cool things online. And she'll say, hey, here's some food for thought. And I'll watch them. And it's been interesting, the trend now, when COVID happened 5 years ago, the trend started to be, let's all go online, let's stream our services, do that kind of thing. But that's kind of old news now. Now what we're seeing is that the church world is changing so rapidly that churches are now expected, leadership of church is expected to bridge the gap between what we see on Sunday and the rest of the week, and the digital space is a great place to do that. Gone are the days when saying, hey, come to church was enough, right? Gone are the days. Churches and you as people, if you're part of our KCC family here, we're to go to people. That's the whole point. And we aren't to go to people to be annoying or to be, hey, I know something you don't. Not that. We're to go to people and love them and inspire them. That there is something better. There's a God who loves them. So with our spaces online, there's so much more opportunity to learn and to grow. So I wanted to create a short podcast where you, on your drive to work, you got 10 minutes, maybe there'll be 15 sometimes. We're not going to do these really long ones. No one wants to listen to me talk for an hour. I get that. I understand. But we'll have a little conversation here as you're going to work or as you're sitting down, getting started for the day, maybe even around your dinner table. But we need that, don't we? Because so much of what is online just isn't really helpful. At least I don't think it's very helpful. So my question for you, with this first one, this is kind of the pilot episode, just to let you know what's coming. My question for you is, would you join me? Would you join me as your host, and as I have some other co-hosts and guests on here, would you join me as we dive deeper into God's Word? Sometimes we'll just have our Bible out, and we're just going to go through God's Word together in a different kind of way than we can on a Sunday morning, okay? But would you learn what it means to be a human who follows Him? Talk about some engaging topics together, maybe some hot topics, maybe even disagree a little, but we can still be in the same space. I can still be at your table with you. You can still be at the table with me. Even if we disagree, we'll talk about it, and you'll probably laugh along the way, okay? If that sounds like a good time to you, then I want to invite you to subscribe to this podcast and be a part of this journey, okay? Now, look, I'm just going to come clean. My goal is not to get a bunch of followers for this, to not have me all over the internet. That's not my goal. I think if you're part of our church family, you know that's not my heart. That's not our church leadership's heart. I just want to be helpful. And if this can be helpful to just a few at our church, that's great. If it ends up being helpful to more than that, that's fine. But we're just going to be real here. This is real talk, table talk, the kinds of conversations that you would have with people around your dinner table. They're the kinds of conversations that Sarah and I get to have around our dinner table or in our living room a couple of times each month with our small group. They're the kinds of conversations that, as I'm meeting with a lot of you who call our church your church home, we have. I personally am a man who enjoys deep conversation and laughing together, going deep. So if you're a part of KCC family, you'll want to subscribe to this, okay, and maybe pass it along if you want to. But tune in to regularly engage. We're going to grow. We're going to dive deeper together. I can't wait to hear from you on your thoughts on some of these topics. And the next one, we're actually going to talk about anger. All right. We're going to talk about that pretty in depth. So be looking for the next one. I know I'm excited to see where God takes you. I know that you are as well. At least I hope you are as well. And know that I'm right here alongside you. Okay. So let's do this journey together. Let's enjoy diving into God's Word. Okay, so you've just watched the pilot episode 1 of Table Talk. We might change the name. I don't know. We'll just see where this goes, okay? But thank you for coming and subscribe to this, and I will see you next time when we dive into anger.